PCSS Connection podcast. I'm your host, Buddy Pearson, the Communications and Marketing Supervisor right here in the Putnam County School System. We appreciate you tuning in or logging on or joining us online this week. You know, we love to celebrate the successes of our students, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's the arts, or whether it's athletics. And speaking of athletics, we had two of our students go to the other side of the earth. They went to Rio de Janeiro and competed in the ISF Youth and Middle School World Championships, and they did pretty good. Jake Stinnett and Grady Phelps not only went to Rio and represented their schools, the Putnam County School System, and the state of Tennessee, they also represented their country well by bringing home a total of 4 medals. And we welcome to the show Jake Stinnett, who is fresh back from Rio. You know, I've never been to Brazil. Is that pretty cool? It
was actually really cool to go somewhere that far. Yeah. I've only ever traveled to in the United States.
Yeah. Was it a long flight?
Just 11 hours through connecting flights.
Wow. Did you sleep any?
As much as I could.
Yeah. All right, so tell me about wrestling over in the ISF tournament. First of all, how do you get to go to Rio to wrestle?
Well, first I had 2 state tournaments here in Tennessee that I won freestyle and Greco in.
Oh, wow.
And I got invited to a national team in Pennsylvania to wrestle for Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And based on how I performed there, we sent an application to the AAU stuff, and they accepted me out of everybody else at my weight. So.
Now, what weight were you wrestling at?
So there it's a little different because everywhere else in the world it's kilograms. So It was 38 kilograms there or 83 something pounds here.
Gotcha. And that's is that kind of what you usually wrestle at?
Yeah, usually around there.
Now, how long have you been wrestling?
Coming up now for AAU, this is going to be my 8th year.
Oh, really? What got you started? Were you watching WWE and want to say, hey man, I want to get into that. I want to throw an elbow on somebody?
Pretty much, yeah.
Is this something you just started doing and you really liked?
Yeah, I started when I was 5 and just kind of kept going to the practices and then started going to tournaments, and it's just something I really liked.
So you qualified, you went to Pennsylvania, you got on the national team. How many Americans were on the national team?
In Brazil?
Yeah.
I think counting boys and girls, it was a little over 30.
Okay. So you're just one of 30 people representing the United States in these games. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. That's awesome. So what was the competition like?
It was pretty hard. I mean, I guess it wasn't too hard because I won.
That's what I like to hear. You won not just one, but you won 2 gold medals. So tell us what divisions and how did those come about?
Excuse me?
Yeah, so was one freestyle, was one Greco-Roman?
Yes.
Okay.
The first tournament was a whole day. It was just Greco-Roman.
Okay.
And I wrestled 2 matches in that and won them both kind of iffy. They were really tough. Mm-hmm. And then the next day, or 2 days after that, we wrestled freestyle. Mm-hmm. And I wrestled a lot better in freestyle, I thought. But I came out, I won them both, so.
So what's the difference in Greco-Roman and freestyle wrestling?
So in Greco, it's like all upper body. So if you're watching it looks a lot fancier and cooler because people are just throwing each other around and stuff. And in freestyle, it's a lot more technical and you just grab their legs and stuff.
Okay. You're more on the mat kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. To be able to stand up on the podium and get the gold medal, I mean, I'm sure you've probably watched the Olympics before. What was that? I mean, did you feel like you were actually at the Olympics and it was all kind of cool?
Yeah, it was cool because they had this whole ceremony at the end. Like, they were calling everybody's names out big and loud and stuff. And the guy who founded the ISF stuff in Brazil, he came out and put my medal on me. It really did feel like something out of the Olympics.
Now, here's something clanking around in your pocket there. Could those be your medals?
Yes.
Let's see the hardware, man. Let's see what you got.
These are both of my medals.
That is awesome. And these things are heavy, too.
Yeah, they are.
Look at that.
They're nice.
The actual deal. Do you think this is something you're going to get to do again or that you want to do again?
Well, next year, I think it's 15 or 16 and up, so
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be old enough to.
Okay. How old are you now?
I turned 14 on October.
And where do you go to school?
Upperman Middle School.
Upperman Middle School.
I'm
Yeah.
in 8th grade.
8th grade there. What's your favorite subject? Wrestling?
Well, I like math.
Yeah.
It's always been a lot easier.
So has Coach Cook, is he at the high school, has he talked to you about coming up and wrestling at the high school at any point?
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you got a national champion right here in Putnam County that goes to Upperman Middle School. I mean, how many of the 30 people that represent the United States, how many of them won gold medals?
So 3 in the boys won gold medals. Me and one other kid won gold medals in both styles.
Really? That's awesome. How, kind of what do you want to do with the wrestling thing? Do you want to go to the Olympics, the real Olympics someday? Do you want to be able to train and wrestle in that?
That's the dream. That's what I'm hoping for, is to someday make it somewhere as big as the Olympics.
Well, that's awesome. In the meantime, you've got a couple of gold medals that you can, sport and wear around your neck. And man, what an awesome thing to be able to go and do and go to Rio and win. That's not like, so when's your next competition? I mean, do you have like something local that you have to do? Because I mean, it's probably going to pale in comparison a little bit to going to Rio.
Well, middle school wrestling starts in around October to
Okay.
December is the practices, and November and December is when the tournament
So you'll be
starts.
wrestling for Upperman Middle. Awesome. Now, any pressure to win since you're a gold medal winner?
Yeah, it'd be pretty crazy to go somewhere that far and win, and then go right next door and get beat.
Awesome. Jake Stinnett, the 8th grader from Upperman Middle who won a couple of gold medals in the ISF World Championships. How do you say that? Gymnasiade. Gymnasiade. Yeah, I don't even know. I tried to say it last week on the show, and I think I butchered it. Let's just say it's a cool place to go and wrestle. How about
Very
that?
much.
All right, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. And it's now time to welcome in Grady Phelps. Grady, you got back from Rio. Are you still tired?
No, I'm not tired.
Yeah, you feeling pretty good?
Yes, sir.
So what was the trip like going over to Rio? I mean, first of all, that's a pretty far place to go to.
Yeah. It was a little scary at first, but it's not as everyone says. It's dangerous, but it's not as dangerous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were probably in the safe part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk a little bit about wrestling and how you got into wrestling. How long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling for around 8 years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What made you get into it?
My dad just introduced it to me because he wrestled in high school.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
And so is that just something that you just started doing and you like doing?
Yeah.
So how did you get to where you could go to Rio to wrestle in this big event?
I just practiced a lot and just put my heart into wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jake was talking about kind of you had to go through like a qualifying deal and go through something in Pennsylvania and then be picked for the team and all that. So, I mean, how did you get picked for the team?
Honestly, I don't really know. My dad just told me one day I was going to Rio.
Okay,
And-
well, there you go. Dad comes in, hey, we're going to Rio to wrestle. Awesome. So what was it like once you got over there? What was the competition like?
The competition was pretty hard. Like, I had 5 or 6 people in my bracket, and all of them were good.
Really?
Yeah. One of them was a Pan Am's placer,
Oh, wow.
and I ended up beating him in freestyle.
Really? Now, did you wrestle in freestyle and the Greco as well?
Yeah.
And what weight class did you wrestle in?
I wrestled 114. That's 52 kilos.
Okay. A little bit bigger guys.
Yeah.
So what was, some of the matches like?
I think all my matches except for 2 went all 3 periods.
Really?
Or all 2, because,
Was it wearing you out?
yeah.
So you come home with a silver and a bronze. Tell us about the bronze. Who did you face and how did that match go?
So first I went against my Team USA person, and he ended up beating me because he's better at Greco.
Okay.
And second, I went against a Brazilian kid, and I think I beat him. And then I lost to the other Brazil kid, and I lost to the Georgia kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different countries that were there.
Yeah.
Did you make any friends while you were over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of Cuba kids in
Really?
Croatia, yeah.
Are you guys going to stay in touch?
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you think you're going to get to wrestle any of these guys ever again?
Maybe later, but I don't know.
You know, you win a silver, you win a bronze, you come home and you look back. Do you think it's going to be one of those things where you look back one day and it's like, man, I went to Rio and I won a couple of medals. How cool is that?
Yeah, I think I'll look back one day.
Now, where do you go to school?
Algood Middle School.
Algood Middle School. As a matter of fact, we're talking to Miss Wren from Algood Middle School here in just a little bit about the garden over there. Have you been out in the garden?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be wrestling in middle school this season?
No, I won't be.
Okay. Are you just doing AAU stuff?
Yeah, I'll just be doing like bigger tournaments.
And when's your next tournament coming up?
I think I might be going to Super 32.
Now, what is that?
It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a really big tournament, and it's made for high schoolers, but I'm just going to be going.
Because you'll be a high schooler next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be a freshman, big freshman. You're going to be wrestling in high school?
Yeah.
Have you
yes,
talked
sir.
to Coach Cook over there?
Mm-hmm. I
Okay.
practice with them sometimes.
Okay, good. How far do you think you can take the wrestling?
I hope that I could end up going to college and maybe even Olympics one day.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, you've got some good experience. You went to Rio, you brought a couple of medals home.
Mm-hmm.
You've been on the podium stand, you know what that feels like. So I'm sure that's kind of a motivational factor for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anything, am I forgetting anything? Is there anything cool that really happened over in Rio that maybe wasn't wrestling related that you got to do or got to see?
I mean, not really, but out there they don't wear swimming suits. They wear Speedos.
Okay.
And so,
So, sir, you've
It's just-
seen some things that you can never unsee again. Is that what you're saying?
yes, sir.
Don't need any pictures of those. We'll take your word for it. Well, look, man, congratulations and good luck to you the rest of the year at Algood
Thank
and the big Super 32 coming up. All right, man, thanks. And the PCSS Connection continues as we head out to Algood Middle School where there's something growing on. Yes, out here at Algood Middle School, they've got a garden, and it's not just what your mom and dad used to grow in the backyard. Check this out.
All right, so I'm sitting here with my sixth graders. and we're listening to the cicadas and the birds and the mowers, and we're just keeping it chill. I was wondering if any of you wanted to say what you most like about the woods, and or how you feel when you're out here. Anybody?
Freedom.
All right, tell me about that sense of freedom. And tell them your name.
Okay, I'm a certified teacher now. Okay. It's the King Johnson. Did I have to say my lesson? Oh yeah, but we just get to like run around and play, and I don't know what else I'm gonna say. Oh yeah, we play tag all the time. They always like reinsure the little fort over there, the TP. Okay, Alex wants to say something.
So you like feeling free?
Yeah.
So it's a good thing in the middle of the school day to come
Yeah.
out here and decompress, right?
And also we have forts over in this general area of the woods because we have, so when the trees fall down during the winter, we use those sticks to build different forts. And we say we're either like surviving a zombie apocalypse, building a fort for shelter, surviving the winter, or basically anything.
So you use
And
your
that's like-
imagination.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Easton wants-
Easton, you want to say something? We're going to pass it around. I like this.
Oh yeah, so I feel really free, like he said.
My name's not he, buddy.
The king, like the king said.
And it feels really relaxing to come out here and just play and have fun.
My name is Addie Neely, and I'm in 6th grade. And what I like about the garden is that before I ever came to the garden, I would just pull up stuff and I wouldn't really care. But then she taught us that plants are really important to us and how we live. And now I don't do any of that stuff anymore.
My name's Lily Knoll, and I'm in 6th grade. And what I like about the garden is when we plant raspberries or something, we get to eat them, and they taste really good.
And Wren Goedken joins us now, and I tell you what, I feel like I've been in a Zen garden. I feel so relaxed after taking that walk through the garden and just hearing the birds, and what an awesome experience this morning. That was really cool.
I'm glad you came. It's very wonderful to, in the middle of a busy school day, to just go out and have a little chill time.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good for the kids and the grown-ups alike.
Well, you could tell, I mean, the kids were loving it. They were picking the raspberries, they were climbing the trees and really enjoying themselves. And I'm thinking, man, where was this when I was in school? Because this is awesome.
Well, and the thing is that a lot of people of our generation, we did that as kids.
We did, yeah, in our spare time.
We grew up running around, playing with our friends
Absolutely.
outside. But a lot of kids nowadays, they spend a lot more time on screens.
Yeah.
And so they're not getting that kind of interaction with one another, that kind of exposure to nature. So I think it's really good for their social emotional development.
Yeah. How did all this come about? I mean, first of all, what's your background in education? How long have you been at Algood, and how did all
I've
that
been
come
at
about?
Algood since they built the building. I was there the first year it was open full time.
Oh, wow.
So Richard Norton hired me as an art teacher
Okay.
back in 2002. It's a long time ago. And I loved teaching art. And then at some point, RTI came into being. So they asked me to teach one of the RTI classes as an enrichment. And Tim Martin was the principal at the time, and he said, we need you to do this. I said, great, but can I do a garden rather than another art class? He said, okay. So I went out there and started a garden, and he came out and said, what are you doing? Because he sees me putting up fences and digging holes, and I'm doing a garden like I told you.
Right.
And he said, I thought you were going to do a couple of raised beds. I didn't know you were going to do all this. So, but he let me continue, and I'm eternally grateful that he had enough faith in me to take on a large project. It was very ambitious because it's pretty good size.
It is very good size.
Yeah, we've dug a pond. We have a wetland. We have probably about 20 different trees, ornamental trees and fruit trees. It's very well established at this point. We've taken good care of it. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to learn. We have those ecosystems to interact with. We're growing things. We have a greenhouse. Kids are learning how to use tools. And again, I think all of this is very good for their development. Again, I'm not against screens. I know they're part of our life, but I
Sure.
think that my class helps balance
Yeah.
some of their screen time. Just a simple thing like getting a little seedling out of a pot and getting it into the ground
Right.
without mashing it and then watering it.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of connections between your body and your brain.
Right.
Some kids have no idea how to do that,
Yeah.
let alone give them a garden hose.
Yeah.
But
The things you can do with a garden hose,
those
drink
are-
out of it and all the fun things.
they do that.
Yes.
But those are good experiences to help connect their senses and their brain and their
Right.
development. So I think it's very positive.
Where does it go from here? Because it has become so vast and there are so many elements to it. Do you continue growing it? Do you just maintain? What do you do?
I don't think the garden's getting bigger. It's manageable, just
Yeah.
how it is. However, shout out to Chris Winningham for letting me start the Arboretum. So that was the next adventure.
Yeah.
So we started that a little bit year before last, mostly last year. Got all those trees in the ground, built all the paths through it, which kind of organizes the space. And so my 21st century classes, and they don't call it RTI, they changed it. What do they call it now? They got a new term,
Yeah.
future ready.
Future
ready
that's
classes.
It. Yeah, right.
Sorry, don't know my terminology, getting
Yeah.
that squared away. So they have a section of the Arboretum, so they're responsible for those 3 or 4 trees. They learn about them. They do a little report. If you walk up to any of them and say, tell me about your trees, they can tell you everything you want to know, which is good because it gives them a sense of ownership,
Yeah.
which is important to have a sense of ownership, a sense of place. You know, this is my school. These are my trees.
Yeah.
That's very good for them. So that's where we're going now. We're developing the Arboretum
Okay.
and give it another 5 or 6 years and it will be mature. And all of those trees will be they're nice to look at now, but they're small.
Yeah.
When they become a canopy of trees in that section, and they're already all labeled so you can see what kind of tree they are. But when they mature, it'll be so much fun, just like it is in the garden in the woods,
Right.
to walk around and explore and see what species are attracted to those different trees when they flower, when they produce fruit or berries or seeds or nuts or whatever it is that they do. So it'll be a good learning experience, not only for the kids, but for the community.
So how did you get into all this? Is your background, did you have gardens? Did you grow up gardening? I mean, just, how did that come about?
I grew up with a very rural life
Okay.
style, and
Where at?
Iowa.
Ah,
Hoeing that corn and detasseling. And I did a lot of gardening at a young age, but I didn't really like it when I was young. I have an unusual entry story for how I got into gardening. I have a son with pretty profound autism, and his happy place is outside.
really?
And that's really the only place he's truly happy and content is when he's outside.
Wow.
So I spent a lot of time outside, still do when I'm with him every weekend. So while I was spending all this time outside, I kind of figured I might as well do something. So I started doing a lot of landscaping and gardening, and I've never looked back. It's just become, now it's my art form.
Yeah.
So I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts, but now my media is dirt and flowers and plants, and I have really extensive gardens at home. And I'm also involved with the community garden at Signature Healthcare,
Okay.
just down the road.
Yeah.
8 of my students have garden spaces there this summer. So that's pretty fun to see them taking what they learned at school and doing it in the community.
Yeah.
So I'm also very involved with that. I have a lot of irons in the fire.
That's awesome. Yeah. So how do you get from Iowa to Cookeville, Tennessee?
So I'm an artist. The Craft Center is what brought me here originally.
Okay. Gotcha. At Tennessee Tech.
Yep.
Yeah. So you graduated from Tennessee Tech.
I did. I also I got my Bachelor of Fine Arts from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. That was
Okay.
where I went. But I also went to the Craft Center, and then I got my teaching certification at Tech too.
Wow. Awesome. What do you think is the most rewarding thing when you see the kids out there and when you see the interaction? What is most rewarding for you?
Well, I see things happen out there that don't happen in the building. I see kids who are relaxed out there and they talk to me and to each other. And they get to decide out there after we do our work and I take them out to the woods and they get to be free. They get to decide what they want to do. You know, they pick up a stick. Do they want to sword fight with it? Do they want to cast a spell with it? Do they want to ride it like a horse? Do they want to build it, something with it, gather sticks? So there's so many loose parts in the woods that they really get a chance to use their creativity and to interact with each other without any predetermined agenda.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. We grew up doing that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and I think that's good for them. They
Yeah.
need that, and that makes me happy. My favorite sound is when we're out in the woods and I see and hear them just running around playing and doing their thing, and the way it echoes around in the woods. I mean, even when kids are loud in the woods,
Yeah.
it's okay. They can't be loud in the building and that be okay.
Right.
So that's just a wonderful environment, wonderful experience, and I love being a part of it.
Yeah. Do you ever have any of those kids that they just don't want to get their hands dirty? They don't want to
Yes,
get, they don't
and
want to.
they're the ones that need it the most.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, they'll start off like, ew.
Yeah.
But then after a while, it's ooh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like yesterday, we were planting our winter crops. We were starting them by seed. And I'd brought compost inside. It was a rainy day, so we were doing that inside.
Right.
They got more into the compost than the seeds. They had out, they had all of my magnifying glasses out, and they were filing, there's an isopod.
Yeah.
And look at that. What is this, Miss Wren? And all these things living in the compost. So that's great that
is
they're learning to appreciate and look for all of these interesting things in nature and in their environment. So.
Well, thank you for all that you do at Algood Middle School and for just teaching kids some of the things that we probably took for granted as kids that they don't have the opportunity to do anymore, but now they're getting that chance because, like you said, that was something we just did growing up. I mean, we're outside, you're playing in the woods, you're helping my dad plant the garden and doing all the things, and now it's not really like that anymore.
Yeah, and they're good skills.
Yeah.
They're good basic human skills. So,
Wren Goedken, what is your official title?
Miss Wren.
Miss Wren.
Yeah,
Miss Wren at Algood Middle School. Thank you so much for being with us on the PCS Connection. That's going to wrap it up for this week for Miss Wren. I'm Buddy Pearson. We'll see you next week right back here on the PCS Connection podcast. God bless.